So here's a few cruise updates for you today. Hey everybody, I'm Michelle. Welcome back to Diaz on Deck Travel. We're gonna go on board and unfiltered and talk about what's going on in cruise news. No, I haven't been on a cruise. I have been under the weather with laryngitis. But I decided it was not so froggy today, so I thought I would come on and share some cruise news with you. We've got things from my grandma's not a monster to the Royal Beach Club in Cozumel being halted and now proceeding. How much influence do you get from watching a TikTok? And how many cruise lines are going to follow suit with Norwegian on deposits and sending out spring break updates? Well, if you're interested in all of that, please hit the subscribe button down below and give me a like. It really helps me to bring you some more content. So let's first talk about my grandma is not a monster. All right, this is the story. And, it was released on Reddit, the entitled cruisers page, and it went something like this. A grandma wrote in to Oasis of the Seas to Royal Caribbean, and her granddaughter was getting married on board. Coincidentally, it happens to be the same night as White Night, and she wanted them to change the planning of their theme night because she didn't want anyone else wearing white on her granddaughter's wedding day. Listen, I completely get where you're coming from. And if you were in a church or a small venue, but you can't ask 6,000 people not to wear white or ask the cruise line to change their plans. So what happened was it was released onto social media, and the poor grandma got so much hate that the granddaughter had to come on and say, my grandma's not a monster. She just doesn't understand how cruising works. Well, poor granny, she did get a lot of hate. And why are we giving so much hate on social media? Take it for what it is. It's entertaining, sometimes informative, but people, you got to give them credit. She asked, right? Okay. So on that note, we're going to come back and talk about another TikTok that's causing a stir in the cruising industry. But first, let's talk about the Royal Beach Club Cozumel, Perfect Day Mexico from Royal Caribbean. Now, it had gotten halted for a little bit, but it is now back on track. And it is going to be about 6.5 to 7 miles from the cruise port. It is over 42 acres, so it's going to be quite huge. Swim up bars, pools, amenities galore, and they are targeting it to be more of an upscale, not your basic, pass for a day kind of beach club. They're targeting it to be more upscale, like the Royal Beach Club in Nassau. Locals were concerned that the building of this beach club would hinder the public beach access. So what did Royal Caribbean do? They built a new public beach, which can be accessed by anyone, locals. It can be accessed by anyone on any cruise ship. Anybody who's there. You don't have to be a Royal Caribbean guest, but you do for the beach club. And so locals were concerned with that. And so now that they've built this new public access beach, everything is rolling along and slated to be done sometime at the end of this year. It will create hundreds of new jobs for the locals, which is absolutely amazing to help enhance the local economy. And they are projecting that the cost will be $150 to $200 per person, and it will be quite an exclusive but all-inclusive event. It will include your drinks, it will include your food, it will be all-inclusive like it is at the Royal Beach Club in Nassau, which is amazing. It will have 2 swimming pools and 6 bars. And, you as a Royal Caribbean cruiser, you can access the public beach, but the public will not be able to access the Royal Beach Club. I'm looking forward to seeing Perfect Day Mexico. I love Cozumel, but it would be nice to do something a little different. And I do love the water there. It is absolutely gorgeous. So let's talk about what Norwegian is doing. Two things. Norwegian is now requiring that you pay your final payment 120 days ahead of your cruise. Now that is something new because normally everyone was requiring at least 90 days final payment ahead of the cruise. So not only is Norwegian doing that, but P&O, a division of Carnival Corporation, is doing that as well. So do you think that all the cruise lines are now going to start requiring a 120-day final payment going forward? It just kind of seems like when one does it, they all do it. So I will keep you posted on that. As well as checking on your cruise reservation and checking with your travel agent if it's not me. Okay, so here's another thing that Norwegian has done. They were anticipating spring break, and you know how spring break is. It gets wild wherever spring break is. And Norwegian sent out a code of conduct that is expected for their spring break cruises. Now, me personally, I just don't see spring breakers booking a Norwegian. Norwegian to me has a different vibe. It's more family oriented. It's a little bit more low key. I'm thinking more the party ships would be experiencing the wild and crazy, spring break crowd. But this is what they said in their memo to their cruisers for spring break up and coming cruises. If you're a bunch of 18-year-olds sailing with somebody else, you have to have that 21-year-old in your room. Number 2, they reminded people of the drinking age. The drinking age is 21 for alcohol. However, if you're 18 to 21, you can have access to beer and wine. They also reminded people that the gaming age for the casino is legally 21. They sent out reminders for behavior in public areas, and that not only included your noise level, how rowdy and crazy you were getting, your clothing and attire. So do you think that they made a good move by sending out this notification? Comment down below. I would love to know what you think about that. I feel like there is always a code of conduct, but maybe this is a good thing to remind cruisers. There are still other people who are not on spring break on these trips. So knowing what's expected in public areas is a good thing. Do you think that the other cruise lines will do the same? Your mainstream, like Royal Caribbean, Carnival. What do you think about that? I would love to know your opinion. And finally, let's talk about the TikTok viral video that everyone is talking about. Okay, so here's where I'm at on social media. I love sharing my vlogs and my trips and a lot of my own opinion as well as some of my cruising partners. But how seriously do you take a lot of what you see on social media? Now, I will tell you on this platform, I do tend to be more informative, give you some vlogs. And on some of the other platforms, I do some of my funny stuff because I love humor and I love especially cruise humor. So you kind of have to take all these things with a grain of salt, right? Well, people are just absolutely flipping out about the fake TikTok where a group of women are running like they've missed their ship in Nassau. And, come to find out, it was one of those, let's do a funny TikTok, let's do a funny video. And it was recorded from the actual Carnival ship that they were not on. They're rehearsing, and people were up in arms. And how can this be fake? Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm an investigator. I missed my calling as 007. And, does it matter if it was fake, if they entertained you? Were you entertained? I know I see a lot of things on different social media platforms, and I take it with a grain of salt because let's face it, guys. I mean, we all need a little humor, and you just can't take anything too serious. And if you really want to know something informational and not humorous and entertainment, then I would do your research or stick to the platforms or stick to us on YouTube, who are here to share our opinions, our experiences, and maybe even some of our funny stories. Guys, I have 35 plus years of cruising, and I don't even know where to start with some of the stories. But how seriously do you take these videos that you see on TikTok or other social media platforms? I have my serious platforms and I have my let's do something funny and entertaining. So does that totally influence you and make you feel, I don't know, cheated out of reality? I mean, we all have to laugh at ourselves. If not, other people will, right? All right, guys, that's it for today. I'm so glad you tuned in, and I hope that my voice wasn't too scratchy. At least I have a voice today. And I look forward to seeing you at Diaz on Deck Travel, where we go on board and unfiltered. All right, talk to you soon.